all be really thrilled for our seniors. We have a very diverse and special group of men who have taken very unique paths to be here. And so it's always good to win. We've been on senior night, to play the way we did, and, give a nice tribute to those guys. It was extra special.
Did you feel the emotion of senior night maybe was hurting, I don't know, say hurting the team, but maybe affected your play first half?
I don't think so. I mean, you always wonder that. It's hard to go from, family and friends and memory lane and emotions and 5 minutes later be playing a competitive basketball game. But I think, our inability to make shots, especially around the basket, was more of a factor than anything, and I don't know if you could trace that to senior night.
You had that season opening at that Washington game, and then won every conference game here since then. What does that say about this team being at home?
Well, we're really grateful to our fans, the 942 crew, the students. They provided us with a great home court all year. Consistently a good home court. When you think about it, look at our crowds. And then think back even to when James was here. So many people have put in hard work. Jim Run at the university level, Bill Kennedy in our athletics department, Don Rogers, trying to get one more person to come to the games. And this year, correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, I think it was the best home record in the last 40 years. And it all ties together because of the tremendous support, we received. Today was a great crowd, and that does make a difference. So I think, speaking on behalf of our players, I can tell you it means so much to them. And it doesn't happen without just tremendous dedication by so many people, like the few that I was able to mention.
Just a few days ago, you were coming off one of your worst weeks of the season, and then you may have played your two best games of the conference season. Is it too easy just to say that's the difference between playing on the road and playing at home, or what changed there?
Yeah, I guess I long ago stopped trying to figure out, the whys. It would really take a great sage to be able to connect those dots. You just don't know. I think more than anything, it's the nature of our sport. I don't think those kind of swings are unique to us. I think you see most every team, perhaps other than Wichita State, experiencing the same kind of things where, every game is, contested. It's the nature of college basketball right now. You're just looking over at those standings, which I try not to do. That kind of reflects it. Everybody beating everybody. It's almost like college basketball has taken a page out of the NFL book, where everybody's 8-8, and if you have a really good year, you're 9-7 or 10-6. If you have a few too many injuries or whatever, you're the other way. You're 7-9 or 6-10, and then there might be a couple outliers, but it's just laced with parity and competitiveness, and it's a long grind because the season stretches out over so many games in such a long period of time. It's hard to expect everybody or anybody to be at their best that whole time, and that's why when you look at what a team like Wichita is doing, it really is remarkable.
Over all your years of coaching, all the dunks you've seen, where did Shaq's rank for you today?
Well, it would be up there. I didn't know he could dunk like that. I've been working with him on it. And I'm glad to see my tireless efforts paid off.
J.D. talked about, didn't anything to dissuade anybody from thinking that was the last game you see out there.
Yeah, no, he's not coming back. So I know there was some, rumblings after the last game, because I think he said something along the lines that tonight was the seniors' afternoon. And I think some people wondered if that implied I may be back, but, we can count on him, trying to go to the NBA next year.
What about, that being said, what about some of the shows he put on, out on that court?
Yeah, no, I mean, he had a brilliant 2 years here in Wells Fargo. If you recall, he started with such expectations, almost mythological expectations. After sitting out the year, everybody, was on the edge of their seat with bated breath. He was put in a really difficult situation for a young man, because I was concerned that even if he played really well, he couldn't possibly meet the expectations that people had for him. But sure enough, the bigger the stage, the brighter the lights. He handled it all with a poise and grace that was really impressive. And, he had a great weekend this weekend. And that was a big reason why we were able to get 2 key victories.
What's your philosophy, Coach, on a kid coming out? When you talk to him, is it, I expect you to be a first rounder and then I support you? Is it whenever you're ready maturity-wise? What do you tell him?
Well, I share my advice when it's asked for, when it's valued. I try to provide information if I have good sources. But ultimately, those decisions rest with the young man and his family. It's not for me to impose my will or my views on anybody else. So I try to be very respectful of the young man and his family. Ultimately, they decide anyway, and to the extent I can be of help or I can be a resource, I'm certainly readily available to do that and want to help in any way I can, but I won't impose myself.
How do you believe Carson affected the program going forward?
Well, he really has created a lot of publicity for our program. There have been a lot of articles written, there's been a lot of chatter, there's been a lot of energy that has swirled around our program from the day he signed a letter of intent to be a Sun Devil. And then we went through that anticipation of his first game. We enjoyed him being co-freshman of the year last year, and we had the thrill of the announcement that he was returning for his second year, and now he's helping lead us, through a very good season his second year. So, I think he's meant a lot to our program. He certainly has advanced the national prominence of our program. I think young prospects are able to identify with him because he does have such a well-known name in basketball circles. So he's been a great asset to our program and really had a terrific 2 years with us.
John may have had one of his better all-around games, and just what kind of boost does he give you guys when he's scoring like the way he did?
It makes us a completely different team. It just changes the whole dynamics of our offense. One thing that I think has really helped us is the productivity of our bench. We were going through spells there where we were almost getting no scoring from our bench. Then when we made the lineup change and John came in and Bo continued to elevate his play, our bench has really helped us. And tonight, I thought all 4 of our reserves that played, Kalen, Igor, Bo, and John contributed, in a really positive way to the outcome.
Coach, I know you don't like looking at the standings too much, but you think 21 wins locks up anything for you as far as tourney burn?
I'd like to think we're in a very good position right now. But I certainly haven't studied it and analyzed it like the committee is in the process of doing and will continue to do. So all we can do is focus on our next game like we always do. And sure enough, we're headed back on the road and have 2 challenging contests ahead of us this week at Oregon and Oregon State. I will say this, I think the Pac-10 is going to be the Pac-12 is going to be handsomely rewarded. you know, forget RPI, BPI, you know, all the numbers, you know, if you just use the eyeball test and you watch Pac-12 basketball, the quality of play is at a really, really high level. You know, I would not be at all surprised, and I think it's quite possible we could get as many as 8 teams in the tournament this year. I don't think that would be a stretch. I think our league has been that good this season. It's been that difficult. And, you know, I talked to the other coaches around the league and, you know, I mean, before the game or whatever, and I think there's a very strong consensus of that feeling.
Anything else?